I am so excited to have you. And hi to everybody. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. We're so happy that you're here. If you're coming back again, thank you so much. Please share, rate, and review, because that is what gets our messages out in front of more people who see it. My mission is to help uplift and elevate women and storytelling and make a podcast that has great storytelling tips that's not boring, because holy cow, there's a lot out there. So my guest today is Kimberly Lynne. Kimberly, I'm so excited that you're here.
Me too. I think you're amazing, and I'm just so glad to be here.
Thank you. I met Kimberly at the Boise, Idaho Polka Dot Powerhouse celebration. And Kimberly, you were on one of my clients and dear friends summit with Karen Robertson.
Yes, I was. I was in her summit, and I got to speak there.
Yeah, she's amazing. She is a therapist, speaker, author, coach who specializes in trauma. And so many women I know have had trauma. If you're human, you've had trauma. If you're a woman, you've probably especially had trauma. And so I love the work that she's doing. And Kimberly is a board certified
That is true. I am.
I always have this image of there's a bunch of people sitting there on a table and they're like watching you do your thing, and that's how they certify you. But I know that's probably not the case.
There is an interview, though, actually, and it's a little bit of that, but it's not. No, it's not. We don't need to go too deep into it, but there is a little bit of, so what is your answer to that? And then they just be silent and they don't tell you what they're thinking. So there is a little bit of that. Yes.
Oh my gosh. That's how it is as a comedian. Whenever I've auditioned for industry, they always say they're not going to look up at you. They're not going to laugh. And that is really daunting. However, if you go in with low expectations and you get them to laugh, you're like, yeah. I had been in LA for a conference and I flew on the red eye to get back to New York to audition for America's Got Talent. I had an actual slot. It wasn't just like the general cattle call. And I had to get through 11 gatekeepers. 11.
Wow.
And so I had my appointment. I found the place because it's pandemonium. There's people on pogo sticks and animal acts, and it's just crazy. It's like the circus. It was 2018. And I had brought in t-shirts because I have t-shirts when I was touring, but I didn't think to bring extra. Like I just thought of the first round. And so I went in and there were 4 judges and they were lovely. And I made them laugh a lot. And they were like, don't change anything. You're really funny. Don't change anything. And I think part of what was helped me stand out was giving them t-shirts, because most people didn't do that. And I was like, I wish I had done that. So anyway, so that was my version of the board. Although I've auditioned many times when they didn't look at you. I did a modeling thing, which I'm short. I'm like, what is my agent thinking? But every once in a while they would send me out for print. And the guy, he was like on the phone, next. It was so degrading. Kimberly, I want you to go into your story in a minute, but I just want to acknowledge, so we're filming this November 11th. And if you believe in angel numbers, it's 1111. And I know just enough about angel numbers to be dangerous. So I don't know a lot about them, but 1111 is a cool number.
Yep, I agree with you. I'm going to hit on 2 things. First is the number 1 is my number. It's like when you do the numerology for your name, that's my number. So it's like my life number. And 11 is always my special number. It's my house number. It's all the numbers. So I'm 1, I'm double 1, I'm triple 1 in all these areas of my life. So I didn't realize it till you said it, but you're right. We're here on 1111. And I think that is a really great synchronicity. The world is changing, and it is, for a lot of people, incredibly unstable, and instability really is just fear, confusion and fear. And so whatever you're feeling right now as you listen to this, I validate that. If it's sad, if it's numb, if it's shock, if it's whatever, those are all valid, because the world is shifting really quickly, and instability is no bueno. Nobody needs that. Nobody wants that. It's just not fun.
Yes, I concur with all of that. So it sounds like an SAT word, concur. But I also want to say, if anyone's listening and you're just feeling overwhelmed or plug out.
Yeah.
And some kind of, I don't like the word diet. I have decided, at least for a while, I am not going to watch the news and I'm only listening to certain podcasts and I don't need to know. And I'm a naturally curious person. I'm a naturally, what's happening? And I'm just
Yep.
trusting. One of my many mantras is whatever I need to know is going to come through. And I'm going to tell a quick
Yes.
story and then I'm going to get you into yours. So I had this yoga teacher named Ben Weiss, and he was in a 20 minutes away from where I lived in New Jersey. And people kept saying, you have to go see Ben. You're going to love Ben, Elaine. And every once in a while I would go north and he was worth it every time.
Oh,
Another time they just had the Boston Marathon bombing. And
wow.
and this class was packed, Kimberly. Like people would come from all over for this man. He would give these Dharma talks, and we're in like 100 million degrees sweating listening to him because that's how much we loved him. He didn't have a TV.
So he was just getting information from the universe.
Yeah. And his daughter was like, come on, dad. Don't you know what's happening? There was another bombing, blah, blah, blah. And he said, with all due respect to what people are going through, there's always going to be another bombing or another thing or another disaster because it's humanity, it's the universe, it's the planet. And he said, does it help me knowing all of that stuff?
Yeah.
Or is my job to help provide peace, love, encouragement? And I don't always follow that, but I love that. And so when I feel especially, whoa, I really try to pull back and do I need to know that? Do I need to click on this? Is this
Right.
imperative for my coaching, speaking, auditioning, comedy, all the things or not? And so
Yeah.
that has really helped me in times of turmoil.
Yeah.
So that is my Ben Wish story. And on
Yeah.
that note, Kimberly, I want to know, and I know our listeners do, and whether you're watching or listening or both. So Kimberly is a board certified hypnotist, which I'm fascinated by that. And I know every healer I've ever known has come through their own eye of the needle. So Kimberly, tell us how did you get here? Tell us the story.
Okay. I feel like the prompting to start with a little bit of don't tune out because you hear the word hypnosis. It's like my curse. Hypnosis has a bad rap. So stick around and you're going to find out all the things you need to know about why hypnosis isn't what Hollywood portrays at all. And it's actually really natural, really safe, and everybody should try it. But I wanted to say that up front because there's a lot of people that are very scared of hypnosis and the connotations that come with it just because of the messages they get. My story is that I had 21 something years of chronic illness, lots of mysterious symptoms, lots of pain. And I spent 20 years becoming an expert on all the natural health, food related things. I went to alternative doctors. I went to regular doctors. I flew across the country. I got all the blood tests. I have a permanent little bullseye spot. They know right where to aim when they need to take my blood. I got so much drawn all the time. And other than just a little bit of thyroid issues and really very minor, I was never diagnosed with anything, but I felt like I was always struggling. I couldn't function. I was always in a lot of pain. And I just had a lot of just random, like just a lot of symptoms that really made my life very small and very difficult. And in 2017, I was married. I was a stay-at-home mom. I was leading a homeschool group. I was homeschooling 3 kids. My husband lost his job. He didn't make it through a cut with a big company who was famous for doing this. And he'd made it through 3 or so and then came home one day. He was crying. He was shocked. And at the time, I lived out in the country in my little dream house, having a little farmstead, milking goats, selling raw milk, just doing the whole thing. And I had bought that home with my parents, and they had just recently also decided that they were like, so we still think Idaho's too cold. We want to go south. So we're leaving. And it really meant that we were going to have to sell the house. So we're going to sell my dream home. My husband lost his job. Then the house flooded and we were out of the house for 20 plus weeks. We lived in a hotel for 13 or 14, and we lived in some kind of like fully furnished rental for a few months till we finally got settled in February of 2018. And within 3 weeks, I started developing just way worse symptoms, and they were all anxiety and panic related. They were terrible. I was having feelings of just losing control of my body and just watching myself as I drove cars. I was in so much pain and so much distress. I couldn't really leave the house. I couldn't function. I just couldn't do anything. And I was really miserable. So then I started doing all the other things, all the things I still hadn't tried, the really woo things. And they started helping, but the symptoms always came back. And so I would still spend every night of the week walking the neighborhood, unable to sleep, having panic attacks. It was awful. So I just kept doing more research. That's what I did. I just refused to give up. And I really felt, though, if I did give up, I was going to die. I really felt at 40 years old that I was going to die within 5 years if I didn't fix this problem. That's how sick I felt. And so I had a lot of motivation, like, I can't live like this anymore. It's untenable. And so through all of that, I kept seeing hypnosis. And after a while, marketing works, right? So I finally looked into it and found some reputable people and thought I should probably maybe go to a hypnotist. So I called a local hypnotist. He was very wonderful, but I realized after talking to him that there was no way I could even trust anybody. So I thought, I guess if I can't trust anybody and I don't want anybody in this head, I better become a hypnotist myself and just fix myself. So that's what I did. I just, without ever having ever had hypnosis at all, I just decided to become a hypnotist. And so that's what I did. In July of 2019, I became a hypnotist, and it immediately started helping, powerfully helping. The anxiety went away within just a few weeks. Panic, I think I might have had I don't even know if I ever had another panic attack ever. And my body started healing and getting so much better it's slow. When you remove the internal stress, your body still you didn't get there overnight, you don't heal overnight, but it just kept getting stronger and stronger. And internally, I just became tougher and tougher. So that's 5.5 years ago. And so immediately I started my business because I was so convinced it was so helpful to me right away. And I'd already pretty much planned on it, but I was a believer at this point. So I just started working with people, and a year and a half in, I became board certified. And then a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, I actually became the chairperson of my organization's board certification committee. So I'm board certified twice,
Wow.
but I also sit on the committee that interviews people and passes them. So I've done a lot of work professionally as well, but I've worked with hundreds of clients at this point, and I just love it. I'm a believer, still a believer. It's so powerful. It's so life-changing, and most people are scared of it. So it's my mission to make it accessible. Like, I think just like we have massage therapists and chiropractors everywhere. So hypnosis, I really think the divide between what most people would think of as something they would try for any kind of emotional or mental health problem is where chiropractic was 100 years ago. Everyone thought they were quacks, and now they're everywhere, and everybody goes to the chiropractor. Nobody thinks that they're quacks anymore. And so that's where hypnosis is. So I think, hopefully, the wave of normalizing and making hypnosis accessible to everybody, because it's just so powerful and people need to know about it.
And now a quick message. Are you a female business owner or a female in corporate, and you know it's time to work on your speaking? You know it's time to work on your executive presence. You know it's time. You are meant for more. My name's Elaine, and I've helped hundreds of people just like you get more comfortable, more confident, and become a truly charismatic speaker, so that whenever you stand up to speak, whether it's in front of 5 people or 5,000, people lean in anticipation. When you are a charismatic speaker, you have an unfair advantage, and people can't even put their fingers on it. So if this resonates with you, if you're ready for more, you know you're meant for more, click the button below. Let's schedule a call. I'd love to chat with you and find out what you're up to, what you're committed to, what you're excited about, and see if there's a way we could possibly partner or work together. And now, back to the show. I love it. Yes, Kimberly, and I'm so happy that I get to help you shout it
Thank
out the
you.
rooftops. May I give you a couple of just little things
Yes.
I wanted more of on your talk? And so, if you're new to the podcast, it's still a new podcast. I'm asking my guests to tell a story, and then I'm giving them a few little tweaks to make it even better. Because the goal is we want to always be evolving, right? We always
Right.
want to be growing as thought leaders, as speakers, as business owners. So, Kimberly, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I It's always better if you have the time to give specific examples, right? So instead of saying, I can help you lose weight, you can say, I can help you lose 3 pounds in 2 days. So you were talking about you had all these symptoms and all this pain. And not that I want you to go into the whole list because there's nothing worse than having to sit through that, right? But I was having these splitting, and this is cancel universe, but debilitating, blinding migraines. Or I was having
Yeah.
my lower back would go out and I could not
Yes.
walk, or
Yes.
right. And so just
Yep.
a tiny little way so that we can feel it with you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't have that, but my best friend migraine. That's a great storytelling tip is we want some details.
Right.
And then next time also, if you can bring in some senses, like I pictured that beautiful, your dream house.
Oh,
You
I
were
know.
milking the goats.
I
Oh my
was.
God. What is that? I don't know, the smell of fresh cut
I will
grass
tell you,
or
the most delicious milk you will ever have is fresh goat milk from a tiny little miniature Norwegian goat. It's so creamy. It's delicious. It's
okay.
23% fat. It's like the most delicious thing you've ever eaten.
Okay. So like a little bit of that so that
Yeah.
because then we can see, oh my God, it
Right.
was such a sweet little place. And then
Yep.
what? You have to move? You lost your job? So
Yep.
that just, and also just for all our storytelling people, is you don't want to go too far in the weeds. Like if she
Right.
spends too much time, then we're gonna be like, okay, the goats, Jesus
We
Christ,
get
the
it.
goat. You want to tell details and you want to tell just enough to paint the picture and then bring us back into the thing.
Right, right,
Because
right.
then we're invested. And so then we're upset. Oh, she lost her dream. She had
Yeah.
to move away from that. Parents, what were you doing? And
Yes.
then the other thing I wanted to say was like, what did that guy say? So you're having all these issues. They keep coming back. There's all this stress. You finally decide, okay, I'm going to go to this hypnotist guy. But then you decide you still don't fully trust him.
Right.
However, you saw the value in getting trained. So when we're telling a story, we're on the train, we're riding the train, and I'm
Yes.
on the train with you. And then I'm like, well, what did he say? I'm off the train. I'm off the train. What did that hypnotist guy say?
Yep.
Okay, I'll come back to the train, but that's like a loop. Where did he go? Does that make sense? And
Mhm.
again, you don't want to stay too far on that. Was it who he was being? Was he just so like hypnosis is just how he was speaking it, you were like, okay, I'll
Mhm.
do it.
Mhm.
Or I want to know a little bit about what happened in that
Yeah.
session that,
Yeah.
and okay, I get it. Like it's
Yeah.
hard to trust some guy you just met, especially if you're a woman, but I want to know something happened in that
You
session.
know what? I want to say it so bad, so I'm going to interrupt you. You know what it was? And you're exactly right. This needs to be in the story. I he did nothing wrong. He did
Right.
everything right. It
Sure.
was in me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was so incredibly anxious and fearful. I couldn't trust
Sure.
anyone. I was like, I better do this myself because I was super hyper independent to
You're
the
not
nth
going to
degree,
allow
right?
anyone to
So
come
I
in.
couldn't
Right.
trust anybody. And so I tell my clients all the time, I'm like, you are so much more courageous than me because you came here. You trusted me. I didn't even have enough. I'm not even as courageous as you to do this work because I couldn't even make it to the hypnotist. I had to become one to get the
Right.
healing. Right.
Which is
So kudos to you for actually trusting me, but being so courageous, knowing that there's never any guarantees in life, but still you're here. That's real courage.
I love that. And that to me is a really unique part of your origin story.
Yeah.
So that makes me even want to know like what he said, what he be, like something shifted. Or maybe you were just like, I'm all out of I have tried everything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. Another thing, going back to the very beginning of our conversation here today, I really believe now, I feel and believe, like in all parts of me, that everything does happen for a reason without it being my fault or your fault. If something bad happens to you, I still think that when I ended up where I ended up to go to training and I met the people that I met there, or when my clients come to see me, that has been that's a spiritual journey that I believe that everything happens and I meet the right people and the right things happen. And even though I didn't work with that person, I was meant to become a hypnotist. This is truly my calling. And had I actually gone to see him and healed myself, would I have made that journey? No. And it was supposed to be that way. He was not supposed to be. The answer was I had to do it myself. I had to do it the hard way. I had to, for me to be able to become who I'm supposed to become and help the people I'm supposed to help.
Okay. I love that. That's beautiful. And that can be added in. And again, I understand. And when we're talking stories, like sometimes when you're speaking, they say, Elaine, we're running late. I know you're supposed to speak for 40. Can you do 20? And
Right.
thank God for all my comedy. I go, yeah. I pull out the points, I pull out stories, and I rearrange things. I know my beginning and my end. I just mess around in the middle. And so sometimes you have a long time to tell a story, and sometimes they're like bottom line it. And so these
Yeah.
are nuances, right? And then the other thing I wanted to know, and just because I'm a coach, so I love training and development
Right.
because I've been in the transformational world since 97. So I was curious, when you have the time, Kimberly, tell us a little bit about the training. Surely this is not like hey, you can become a minister in 5 minutes online for free.
Yes.
And we don't want to know too many details. Was it 6 months? Was it in person? Was it okay? So you got board certified. That's good. That sounds official. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Were you one of 500 in a class? Were you one of five? Were there other people who were skeptical and in pain like you? When you have the time to tell more nuances,
Right.
you could add a little bit of that to the story. Think about it. We have 4 different types of learning. Some people just auditory, some people are very visual, some people are
Right.
kinesthetic, some people are a little bit of all of it. I always want to know a little bit. I don't need to know the whole thing, but I love to hear about trainings and all that stuff. So those are my 4 little tweaks. And I have one more thing. So I think this is an opportunity for humor, which
Right.
who doesn't need more humor? Is when you said woo things. I think that could be really funny because to me, if you're making fun of woo things, it shows
Right.
us again how you were just like hypnotist.
Right.
And then because I used to be like woo things, and now I'm like half woo, half practical. I work with a lot of
Yes.
woo people. I help them
Yep.
with their video and speaking, whatever. But to me, if you can make fun, like that's even more fun. I know. I was like
Yes.
you. I was
I
like woo.
we call ourselves the witch doctor. Why would you call the witch doctor?
And then maybe even embellish or play with. When I
Yes.
say woo, I'm thinking like the people that the Akashic records, the people who channel the rebirthers. There's all kinds of woo that you can
Right.
make fun of or play with. And then as you're contrasting the woo, then you're also saying we got trained and they've
Yeah.
done all these studies. Give me a couple of stats. I love that you've trained lots of people. Okay, cool. Maybe a success story thrown in if you have more time. But what are a couple of big time stats that have been proven by Harvard or John Hopkins, or
Yeah.
hit me with the stat because
Yeah.
I'm an emotional person. We buy emotionally. And at the
Right.
same time, we buy emotionally and then we justify it and rationalize it intellectually. So if I
Yes.
commit to 10 sessions with blah, 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 I got to be able to come home and say, okay, but this is going to help me with focus, productivity, all the things.
Yep.
So anyway, I could go
I
on.
get that.
I love
Totally.
stories. I love it. I love it so much. I hope.
Those are really great tips though. I agree with you on all those. And I'm like, oh yeah. And yep, I'm with you 100%. And I do sometimes try to make it funnier. It just depends. You know what I mean? I
Yeah. I mean,
tell it pretty much the same, but yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right on all that. Yeah.
when it's to me, a story is like soup. You put it on the back, you turn down, you let it simmer, and then you add some things. And some days it may be spicier than others, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I personally would rather you speak from the heart and be in the moment than having the perfectly canned talk. We're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh gosh, she workshopped this
Mm-hmm.
one to death, right?
Yeah.
So awesome. That was amazing. Now, do you still have the goats, Kimberly?
No, I do miss them. And I still live in the house that I moved into. So I've been here 6 years almost now, maybe 7. I lost track. But the first time we moved, the moment we moved in, my kids were like, "Can we get more goats?" Because we have these cute little miniature Nigerians, and they have the highest butter fat amount in all their little milk, and they're just like tabletop size. They're like the size of a Cocker Spaniel or like a really
And
small Labrador. They're
okay.
tiny and they're adorable and their milk tastes good, and you could totally have one in a backyard. My neighbors have a pygmy goat, which is the same size, just different breed. It's not a milk goat, it's a meat goat. But so there's two kinds, right? There's meat and milk. But
Oh, I could not raise a meat
no,
goat.
me neither. That's one of the reasons why my kids are so glad we don't live on the homestead anymore, because they would never, other than eggs, eat anything that came from our homestead. Anything. We
Yeah,
couldn't eat the turkeys. We couldn't eat any of the lamb chops, like nothing.
yeah,
And I was
I mean,
so annoyed with them, but
mad
they were like,
respect for those people that do
yeah,
that. Wow.
they
Yeah.
were like, no, that was my friend. I will not do it. They were littler, but yeah, they were not into eating their friends. So it did not work for them. They were just,
Okay.
I brought them to the country life way too late. They were already too old. They needed to be born in that life.
Kimberly, if people want to know more about you, I want you to tell us, and I'll put that in the show notes too, everybody. If somebody is struggling with panic, anxiety, depression, sleeplessness,
Yes.
inflammation,
Yes.
migraines,
Yes.
so it could be emotional and or physical. Usually they're connected.
I agree. They usually are connected. So yes, the answer is yes to all of those. I help women. I help women. So whether it's a mental block that they're conscious of, an emotional block, they don't know what it is. When you fix things like that, physical healing will almost always happen if it needed. So I would never say to somebody, "Hey, your chronic illness is going to go away." But I certainly can tell you that if it's worse when you're stressed out, I can help you feel better, because they go together. They're always related. So I help women all the time. Every single client is different, which is why it's hard for me sometimes to say, who do I help and what do I do? Because really, I just help women with that inner baggage that's hurting them in whatever way that it's hurting them. They were born free, and I want to help them return to that original state. So it's not about changing you or getting rid of anything that is a core part of you. It's about helping you return to who you were when you were born and what you're supposed to be.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on the show and for being willing to be coached live. I really appreciate it and commend you for that. And we loved being in Boise. What a beautiful, fun town. What amazing food and restaurants. And there was like an art show, and I just loved it. I hope I get to come back. And thank you so much, Kimberly. Tell us where they can find you.
Oh yes, you go to my website, which is lynnhypnosis.com, Lynn with an E, so I'm sure it'll be in the description. lynnhypnosis.com. You'll find everything you need there. But if you're looking on social media, you can also look for my username. It's the same on every platform. Hypnotist Kimberly Lynne.
Hypnotist Kimberly Lynne.
Yeah.
And that's Kimberly Lynne, Lyne for our friends who are just listening. All right. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. And bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Please share this with somebody who needs to work on their speaking, which would be everybody. Please subscribe, rate, and review, because that helps us get the word out. And I can't wait to see you on the screen or stage soon.